Hey everybody, I'm just trying to straighten my collar here because it was a little crooked. It's late at night, but I happened to see my friend Stephen Campbell's vlog to his fans because he hadn't vlogged as much as if I'm getting the gist of it. And I had to stop and think, gee, I haven't watched something from Stephen in a while. And it wasn't intentional. I really focused Stephen on my craft because, as you know, I vlog Zennie 62 channel, which I actually changed the formal name to the Vlog Report with Zennie 62, which points back to a television show I had called the Blog Report with Zennie 62, the first TV show of its kind based entirely around YouTube videos that were then sent to the studio and uploaded straight away. This was in 2009, Colors TV. Anyway, I thought about it, and what happened, Stephen, was I'm sorry about that. I just, you get an itchy nose sort of thing, whatever. I was using the title of my channel to capture different keywords, right? And it became this mosh of words that ultimately made little sense except for the Zennie 62 and the cities, Las Vegas, Oakland, Atlanta, Chicago, that sort of thing. But it really didn't make any sense. And I thought, you know what? When did I most enjoy the channel? I said, I really enjoyed it when, not that I don't enjoy it. When I say enjoy, it's a matter of like, really, really enjoy to kind of like, yeah, but never not. I love vlogging. I think vlogging is an excellent profession. It's an excellent therapy. It's an excellent thing to do. Everyone should vlog. But what I'm getting at, Stephen, is that I really became focused. As you know, I'm a caregiver to my mom, paying attention to my mom. My mom is now 90 and deserves my full and complete attention. And so sometimes I stay up because I'm making sure I'm listening in case she has a nightmare or something in the other room. I don't want her to, be uncomfortable. And that doesn't happen a lot. Or sometimes I see something, I'm sort of a night owl, and I'll read something, but the other thing that I really do a lot of is coding, recoding, and maintenance on the Zennie 62 media sites, particularly my WordPress site. So I just went through a major under the hood code overhaul of my main sites, and wow, the performance of those sites is really just taken off, right? I'm very proud, but I'm not done either. So, and then of course we had the NFL Combine, and my friend Bill Carroll went representing us. And by the grace of the God of this wonderful technology we developed, I was able to virtually be there with him, when I could. And when I wasn't doing that, then I was helping mom with different things, or I was paying attention to other subjects to vlog about, or paying attention to what another vlogger was doing. We have now, we have 14 vloggers signed up. Right now we have maybe me, I'm active all the time. Eric Paginian used to be active, a lot I haven't heard from him. I hope he's okay. And we're always looking for new vloggers, new blood, right? New blood, especially in Las Vegas. And then, of course, Stephen, you know that there was a situation with my half-sister who is sadly become a full-blown drug addict, and it just eats away at me because I feel like I let my late father down, who I know he understands. I know he does. But I made a promise to him that I would watch out for as best I could. Long story short, I don't know where she's at. She's in Las Vegas someplace. I pray that she's okay on her feet. But between her and her mothers and others, I don't know. Then I lost my cousin, Adam Abraham, recently, who's 73, and succumbed to diabetes. And but then there are revelations that go with that, where you think, really, you know. And I think for me, I don't know my family. I'm the only child, but I'm talking about the Abraham family as a whole, my father's family, as well as I like to, and yet we're dying. I mean, there are younger ones around, like Adam's kids, but I've never met them. But if I did, I know I'd recognize something of me in them and vice versa. And as an only child, that's really a heck of a thing, okay? So I'm going through a lot of thinking about that. Not, I was going to say soul searching, but that's not the appropriate term. Just, you get to the stage in life and you reflect on a lot of the time. It's impossible not to. I have never met anyone who is in my position and doesn't do it. And now I bring myself to you, Stephen. Stephen, you're an outstanding Las Vegas vlogger. And you may be saying, Zennie, I see you're calling yourself a Las Vegas vlogger. Did you move to Las Vegas? No, I did not. But Stephen, I started vlogging about Las Vegas in 2010 because of CES. I have always had a love affair with Las Vegas. I am still hurt that my Raiders went to Las Vegas, although they are better off than the situation in Oakland, because Oakland has forgotten what it means to build a city, incorporating, sports teams, symphony, parks to play in, businesses that are open and viable and protected, and you get the idea, right? We've forgotten that, and I believe succumb to this desire to have all kinds of drugs active, some psychedelic drugs and everything else. No one talks about that, but I think it's a big reason for our decline. People come in and they tune out with these drugs, and the extreme, they screw up their lives. So who's there when that person has too much marijuana and it's impacted their work environment? Or maybe they want to do remote work so they can stay at home and do their drugs and still work, right? There's a lot of that goes into that we're not talking about. We're not having this really honest conversation. I think we need to have it. So all this, I believe, has impacted Oakland's downfall. Now let's come to Las Vegas. Las Vegas understands that development is necessary for economic growth. That's the beautiful thing about Las Vegas. Las Vegas understands the need to have less regulation, but also an interest in the free form, the exciting, and the new. What Las Vegas needs, however, is a set of rent controls and subsidies so that the market does not push people out, make it so expensive that it takes away the secret sauce that is the magic of every city. The artists who can live inexpensively in the city to do their art, be paid for it, sometimes handsomely, and continue as a contributor to the culture of that city. Las Vegas faces that problem. It has to be careful to make sure that the dynamic does not eat it and eat its culture. That is happening. And Stephen, what I love about your live streams is you point at that. Maybe not, you don't express it the same way that I do, because you don't have the background, you don't have the technical background that I possess with respect to economic analysis, urban planning, and system dynamics, modeling, and systems thinking. Okay, that's not your bailiwick, although it could be, okay, because you're smart enough to move in that direction if you're aware of it. Now, I felt your best vlogs were when you walked down the Las Vegas Strip, like Pompsy, and you stopped and talked to people and everything. But I believe there was an incident. I think I made a video about that incident. Someone touched you in passing, and there was a distinct difference between what happened to you then and afterward. And also, as the new wave of hotels came online in Las Vegas, like the Fontainebleau, where you had that incident with security person rather, I really believe that changed you. And also the Jason Aldean incident, which was just ridiculous. And they should bring you back, give you a great first-class dinner, and treat you like the king that you are, right? Because Las Vegas vloggers, particularly Las Vegas vloggers who live in Las Vegas, should be treated like gold by the Las Vegas Convention of Visitors Authority, headed by my friend Stephen Hill. All the casinos, the Vegas Chamber, Mayor's office, they should have a pipeline to you guys. You should have a pipeline to them. You should be able to go and interview them and help them out and get paid for it and all that stuff. That's really the way it should be. And it hurts my heart that's not the case. Okay. You made a comment about being conservative. Steve, for me, you're not conservative. You might think you're being conservative. But for me, being conservative is understanding economic analysis and microeconomics and how it can be used to allocate resources efficiently. When it comes to how someone feels about how I am as a black person or anything, to me, that's not conservative, man. That's nutso stuff. All right? That's got nothing to do with being conservative in my book. True conservatives are public intellectuals. And when I think of conservatives, I think of a conservative thinking that you're probably not aware of. A conservative thinking that was adopted by, at the time, Milton Friedman and others. Milton Friedman and John Kenneth Galbraith were great friends. John Kenneth Galbraith was my intellectual hero. He was an institutional economist, meaning that he could explain economic operation and formation from the perspective of the growth of institutions and operation of them. Government institution, business institution, at-home institution, and imports and exports, and the politics that go in it, okay? Institutional economics. If you understand how your economy works, you have to be an institutionalist. It doesn't work to be just a mathematical economist unless you're incorporating institutionalist thinking. But system dynamics is a great tool to learn to be able to properly model the operation of institutions, to understand what it means to evaluate feedback and control loops. For example, what causes population in a city to increase or decrease? Well, there's births and deaths, in-migration and out-migration. Those are the factors. So the question is, what causes those factors to change? When and why? And you can really build a simple model, but then expand it to becomes relatively complex. I've done it. I did it for a client that was interested in the city of Berkeley and its operation with respect to the University of California. The client was the East Bay Express and John Rayside, the editor. This was 1994, Stephen. Mr. Rayside was convinced that the 5% reduction proposed reduction by the university in salaries paid would cause an economic crash to the city of Berkeley. So he hired me, all right? And I agree. Jeffrey Sachs is arguably the best economist right there. I completely agree with you. And Jeffrey, I got to get Jeffrey on my show. I'm glad you mentioned that, man. Jeffrey Sachs is an awesome thinker. At any rate, talking about the model that I was building. And my client was convinced, that the city of Berkeley was going to, collapse and all that. Well, I built a model, a system dynamics model with Berkeley. I built within that model, a model of the credit system. It was a 947 equation model. I'm very proud of it to this day. And I discovered that a 5% reduction in payments would actually result in, guess what? No impact on the city of Berkeley. Why? Because the vast majority of University of California, Berkeley employees don't even live in Berkeley. Okay? They don't even live in Berkeley. So the impact is really spread out to the Bay Area, and it's only 5%. So the ultimate impact was no impact from that perspective. But what I did find was this. I also built a credit model within it. In other words, what would happen if your interest rates went up, that sort of thing? How would that impact common spending in the region in Berkeley, right? And then I installed a factor that had an impact, which was student tuition. And then I tested out a proposal to dramatically raise tuition at Cal. Do you know what I discovered? I discovered that it literally threw a choke chain around student spending in the city of Berkeley, causing a dramatic 20% reduction in sales tax revenue. Yep, that's right. Okay? That's what system dynamics gets you. A good system dynamics model will always give you that outcome you didn't expect. You go, oh, I didn't know that. Because what it means is that you accurately modeled the relationships that drive the baseline changes in spending and population size and so on, right? And I did that. So once I got the baseline down, I could, play with different levers and all that, okay? Anyway, Stephen, the kind of thinking I apply is, some would call it neoliberal. Some would call it neoconservative. Christopher says interest rates going up just means the price to borrow money costs more, so less return on investment. That's true. But interest rates going up also means prices going up, but also social pressures. Okay? It's harder to borrow money when you need it the most. We're going through that now. You want to get a loan? It's a payday loan. That's usury. They ought to be outlawed in the United States, and yet they're all over the place. No. And people are finding it hard to get jobs because of the International Division of Labor. What is that? Offshoring. Offshoring of jobs is rampant. Trump's idea to bring back tariffs is a bad idea. You want to bring back jobs, you subsidize the company. Say, hey, look, if you build here, I will give you X amount of dollars. That's how you do it. You don't punish your friends in their economy. You reward your friends and say, okay, so less people to stimulate the economy. Basically, less active, not so much less people, but, less active. And active, what I mean is, it doesn't mean your population is going down. It means that, let's take what's happened since the mid-70s with the Ministry of International Trade and Industry in Japan as a great starting point. The Ministry of International Trade in Japan, the Ministry of International Trade and Industry in Japan, at which I had the honor of visiting in 1987, spearheaded subsidizing the Japanese automobile industry such that they were able to produce cars at below production cost. That allowed them to competitively price those vehicles with respect to their American counterparts in America, and guess what you get? Bigger market share. But the cars are made where? Not in the United States. Now today it's different. Vastly different. Why? Because Ford owns Mazda, I believe Chrysler owns Mercedes. All of these interconnected ownership patterns that are now in their third generation of maturation. Third generation. You heard what I'm saying? Third generation. All right? But see, now it's to the point like, well, for example, my server system is serviced by people who are in 3 different countries. They used to be America. And I remember one of the HostGator's great engineers, John, told me 3 years ago, get used to this, Zennie, because it's going away. He says, you're going to miss it. What he meant by was the level of service I was getting from the guys in Houston and gals. It's gone. Gone. I have to text with somebody from a different culture who's learning how to communicate with somebody in English because it's a commerce issue for them and the company that they represent. I will say that HostGator service has really improved over that time, but you really, as an American citizen, are comfortable when your folks are being helped by the dollars you spend. And the American government has done nothing to correct that problem. We leave it to the market, but others, our competitors, oh no, they're all spending to help their people. And go figure that that America is only one of 2 multi-ethnic countries that active in the world economy among the majors. And yet we don't take care of our own. The mono-ethnic countries have no problem subsidizing their industry, growing their industry on the backs of Americans, import replacing. Okay, that's going on a lot. So it's not so much less people to stimulate the economy. No, it's money going offshore to people elsewhere. Now, what stimulates the economy, Christopher? Think about the equation for gross domestic product. C plus I plus G plus NX. C is consumption. I is investments or business, right? G is government. NX is net exports. Exports minus imports. So what happens when you increase the G, which is government spending, right? That's more jobs. Think about that when you hear Trump make all these cuts to jobs. It's hurting America. It's causing a reduction. It will cause a reduction in our GDP. It's not yet large enough, and hopefully it never gets that large. Cutting $5 billion from a $6 trillion budget, that's microscopically small. But it still hurts a lot of people. And think about the grocery stores those people shop at, the restaurants they go to or get food from, the bars that they visit, the pillow stores, the drugstores, pharmacies, right? They all hurt when the dollar flows stop. So when you hear Trump talking like that, all right, he says, yes, but that's why they can lie on the jobs report about creating needless jobs. No, that's not true. What's needless? Okay, I challenge you on that. There's no such thing as a needless job. Trump put that on his executive order. And I'm telling you, President Trump is a Russian asset, okay? I'm 62. I was born the year of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Americans in my day would never allow what Trump is trying to do, ever. Do you understand? Do not advocate American influence or control by the Russians. I am telling you not to do it. I mean it. Don't do it. It's criminal and it's wrong and it will destroy us and you won't even know American life. All right? Okay, Christopher? Don't do it. You won't like the other way. These freedoms are hard won. And needless jobs, excuse me. The 64,000 employees of the federal government, more than that, are there because those jobs were placed there by legislative action. That means a constituency built many decades ago, sometimes hundreds of 200 years ago, called for them, and they developed over time. They're not needless. They are there. The president can't produce an executive order and say, okay, they're gone. No, that's illegal. That's why his demands are falling apart. But he's counting on people like you to think that what he's doing is right because you don't know your American government. Why? Because they didn't teach you civics. We used to call it government in my day. I interviewed Richard Dreyfuss about this. He says, if you understand the Cuban Missile Crisis, how do you not understand Russia's problem with NATO and Ukraine on the border? Wait, who said I didn't? You did. That was an assumption you made. You know the old saying, to assume makes an ass out of you and me, right? You made an assumption. I know NATO much better than you do. Okay? All right? And there's no problem with NATO. Donald Trump is lying. Donald Trump came through his first term with the same playbook. Because if you paid attention to Trump as I did, see, Chris, one of us tried to get on The Apprentice. You know, Trump show? It wasn't you. Me. I loved that Donald Trump. I thought that Donald Trump was for America. I thought that Donald Trump was for American small business. That's why I tried out to be on his show. So you want to talk to me about Donald Trump? You don't know Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump. Donald Trump is all about one thing, power, and its corollary, money. But he did it he established a relationship with Russian oligarchs way back in the last 2 decades of the 20th century. And then his sons, Eric, went over starting in the first decade of the 20th century, okay? He says, so then you know it's been really gone. That's not true. That claim about NATO is not true at all, okay? Not true at all. And let me ask you, all right? What does that have to do with trying to invade a country? Nothing. It's wrong. What I'm trying to tell you is the thinking that you want to adopt is wrong. If you're getting it from someplace. My thinking doesn't come from somebody. It comes from experience and analysis. It comes from model building. It comes from system dynamics. It comes from data gathering. It comes from population analysis and flows. You're getting your view from someone else. Stop it. Turn on your doggone brain, man. Come on, young man, don't do this. Use your head. At least I think you're young. Am I old? Do I sound like an old man? Yay! Sort of. I don't sound like an old man. I was talking about Stephen Campbell. See, Stephen, this is an honor to you, all right? My point is this, okay? Warsaw Pact, Minsk agreements. Yes, something you just looked up online. You say Warsaw Pact and Minsk agreements. but you throw them out as terms you looked up because you're looking up something online. Don't do that. Because you know what you just did? You threw up something that is completely not even congruous to our conversation at all, to our original conversation. So you're trying to do the gotchas. I don't do gotchas. I do systems thinking. Sorry. Okay? Because again, what I'm saying to you is about the simple fact that America as a whole is in trouble because of the international division of labor. And what Trump is proposing with tariffs is not going to work. Okay? He says, oh my God, some of my... Yeah, but look, the difference between you and me, okay, you've never been in a room where Jeffrey Sachs was actually giving a lecture. You've never shook hands with him. I have. That's the difference. Okay? Your exchange with Mr. Sachs wasn't because you were testing an economic model. Mine was. You don't get it. My opinion is gained from the hard work of analysis. I don't glom on to what somebody says just because they are that. In fact, even with Galbraith, Milton Friedman I was a fan of for about that long until I discovered that Milton Friedman, this is when I was 9 years old, okay? Milton Friedman had not squared the circle of market failure. What is market failure? It's when people don't get the goods and services they need to live properly. That's the problem in America right now. We have market failure going on, the government doing nothing to counter market failure. Market failure is us. There is no economics without people. A lot of economists make that mistake. Christopher, a lot. So I'm going to make you into an intellectual. There's one book, and one book I want you to read. Actually, two. The first one is by a great man by the name of C. West Churchman. It is called The Systems Approach and Its Enemies. It's not what you think, but I want you to read it front to back, and then I want you to read it again. That's the first book. The second book is Systems Thinking, The Art and Practice of the Learning Organization, 1985, Peter Senge, S-E-N-G-E. Peter Senge is the first person to really develop a book that is a great layperson's analysis or layperson's introduction to system dynamics. I want you to understand what it means to think in system dynamics terms, okay? And then I want you to go online and I want you to find and run something called the beer game. It is a classic game in system dynamics. I've developed 300 system dynamics models. I want you to understand what it means to model relationships in society, and understand and form what a mental model is, because you're expressing mental models, okay? And then try to destroy your mental models. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, because then you get on a path to some really fun adventures in discovery, economic discovery. And you quickly find out how stupid those who call themselves conservatives today really are. Or for that matter, call themselves progressive, which has no tie to anything empirical at all, which is the other problem. Okay? I have never gone off of a line. You want to say, what am I? I am proudly liberal. Why? Because I understand that is what you wind up with when you have a properly operating institution that fixes market failures. A perfectly running economy is one that doesn't have homelessness, for example. He says, yes, it's like playing chess against yourself, understanding. Yeah, exactly. Bingo. Precisely. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's challenging yourself. It really is. Because then you're not in love with what you think you know, right? It's truly abstractions, you know. And thanks, Christopher, for the exchange. Much appreciated. And check out Stephen Campbell's stuff. Not leaving Las Vegas. Because Stephen, I think where Stephen went off the track was he got a little too down on Las Vegas and hotels, and I would say, why don't you call my friend here or call my friend there? And he's had some hard luck moments, and I think his vlogs reflect that, and he gets a little clouded by it, and I get it. I get it. I've had a hard time dealing with the medical institutions here. You want to, oh gosh, you're talking about economic market failure? Ugh. Not government subsidy needs to be in the medical area to keep us alive. A healthy person and a well-financed person is a mentally sane person, okay? We want people to be happy. Instead, we're creating a society where people are being made to be sad, either by distance or isolation or simply lack of good health care. President Obama had the right idea, so much so that, hey, the late John McCain came through, voted thumbs down on trying to get rid of it. Remember that? That was great. The real United States of America is America where in Washington, analysts sometimes work for Republican regimes, sometimes work for Democratic regimes, but they work decades. It's a big difference. I've been on here for 37 minutes. I was going to do 11 minutes as an honor to Stephen. Stephen, sorry. But you know what? I got to get to bed. Christopher, God love you. God bless you. Hey, man, new friend. Thank you so much, very much. Keep in touch, buddy. I'll see you. I gotta get to bed. God bless you. I'll see you. Thanks again. Meant a lot to me to have that great exchange. Thank you. See ya.